Hello, Oval Nation and Nerd TV. Hello, Peggy. Hello, Time Prophet. Hello, Alan. Lord Thoth is with us. So many fandoms is all over the place, as always. Oh, and who else is in here? Colin. Welcome, Colin. Matt Ryan. Gap Stargate. How you doing, Gap? Luis Sparrow, Colleen. Everybody who's in here, thank you guys for joining us. We have an amazing, amazing show tonight. We're going to be reviewing episode 9. Of course, with Joe Malazzi, the executive producer and creator of Dark Matter and a lot of other stuff. We were just talking backstage about how much stuff Joe's involved in. We're going to be introducing our great panel. And the two ladies on our panel are looking very Christmassy today. So that's good. That's exciting. All right, guys. Let's see. Ladies first, let me welcome the galactic meteorologist, Katie Nicolau.
Hi, everyone. Hey, there you go. You got it in the right order.
Hey, Katie.
Yes, I've reemerged. Oh, I'm great now that I have a webcam that works. No more crazy green lines. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, we could not see you last week. We could not see you.
So much better than a talking bubble.
And I want to welcome Nina Infinity, who's also looking like she's working for Mr. Claus. Hello, Nina.
Hi. How's it going?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very, very good because it's been Christmassy.
Yes. Yes. So
awesome.
ready for it.
I just noticed the tree. I didn't notice it before. That's great.
Katie, congratulations on your new camera.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's nice. It's sleek. It's off-brand. It's everything you could possibly want for very cheap.
Excellent. Excellent.
Do you ladies want to tell us really quick about your channels? Katie, tell us about So Many Fandoms.
Yeah, So Many Fandoms is a great place to find all of my fandom forecasts. I'm working with some friends now that they're at grad school, but we're going to try and do some whether or not shows, debating on if TV shows and movies do the weather correctly. Sharknado. And we're going to do talking about that. So we'll be starting up some live streams here soon.
Nice.
Awesome. And can you put your channel in the chat? So
I will endeavor to do so.
New people in the chat, please. Everybody, if you haven't been subscribed to Katie, please do, and Nina as well. Nina, what's your channel about?
My channel is Nina Infinity, and I do movie reviews and TV show reviews. Right now, I'm dropping episodic reviews of His Dark Material Season 2, which I just dropped right before this show. Go check that out. Episode 4 was yesterday. And on Fridays, I do a segment called Infinite Hope, which I talk about positive news, because in the news, it's always negative. So we need some positivity in this world, especially during holidays, right? We need some positivity. So check that out on Fridays. And that's me. Thank you so much, PJ. It's always lovely to be here.
Absolutely. And can you put a link into your video that you just announced?
Sure, absolutely.
In the chat so people can go check it out later?
Yep.
And I want to introduce the doctor and author, Dr. ADEGA Outlaw. Hello, doctor. How are you?
Hello. Sorry, I don't have the Christmas festivities on or behind me. No special hat, no trees, but I have a sweater on.
Is it
cold
an
here.
ugly Christmas sweater?
No, I don't have one of those. I have a Dale that's really nice, except it has reindeer right on each sleeve. Other than that,
that's cool.
I love Dale, but no ugly sweaters. Sorry.
I want one of those. I need a new ugly Christmas sweater.
I have one with the Velociraptor.
Nice.
Very fun.
Oh, that would go over great in my publishing company.
Yeah.
The Raptor, Mad Raptor, yeah. People fight for that.
Do it. You can get it clearance.
I want to introduce our friend, executive producer of so much stuff, creator of so much stuff, and he's probably now working on 10 things at the same time. Joseph Malazzi. Welcome, Joseph.
Hello. I too am feeling festive. I've worn my Black Adam Christmas t-shirts.
Ooh,
Yeah.
cool.
Awesome. How are things in MALLOZZI world? Joe?
Good. Busy, as you said, juggling a few things. And, you know, who knows what the future holds.
Good things.
Hopefully another sci-fi series. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we have a special guest, a very special guest today. And you guys who have been watching the episode 9, we've seen him before. And he plays a very pivotal role in Four's life, the character of Akita in Dark Matter. And he's also looking very festive backstage. Let's welcome and let's give a nice warm welcome to Russell YUEN. Hello, Russell.
Hey! Oh man, little hat. There we go. There we go.
Oh, very festive.
Thank you, sir.
I always have a
joining us,
Santa
Russell.
hat hanging around. Don't
Yeah.
Just in case for situations like this.
Excellent.
There we go. Let's put him here. There we go.
And Russell, you have one of those IMDb's that tends to go on and on and on, and you got to scroll and scroll and scroll. How did you get into acting, if we may ask, or why did you get into acting?
That's how long is the show? No. Like a lot of Asian guys, I was predestined to be a doctor. You know, like when I was a kid, I would get gifts like microscopes and plastic anatomy things that you'd have to put together, anatomically correct, and that kind of stuff. So I was in pre-med, and I was looking for a really stupid course that I could just blow off. And I said, "Oh, look, theater. That sounds easy. I'll do that course." And I took a theater course, and I was doomed. I loved it so much, and I literally said to the medical, not the medical board, but the school, I said, "Hey, can I try this out?" And they said, "Sure. You got 5 years. Give it a try. In 5 years, if you're not back, then all your credits go away." But I have to blame my brother, because growing up, I was an usher when he was doing off-Broadway song and dancing. He did the Pointer Sisters and the Andrew Sisters a lot. And I used to go watch all his shows. So it was mainly due to my brother. And the reason why there's so many IMDb credits that you have to scroll through, because most of them are junk. It's because I've been doing it for 35 years now. This is year 35.
Wow.
So long as it's not one of those that says, "Ask Russell, he'll do anything."
If you look at some of the credits, it's pretty much sometimes that. Yeah. There are a few that I do want to get rid of, but I can't get rid of it. You know, just much like my birth date on IMDb, they will not take your birthday off for some reason. I've tried many times, but
Just own it. Own it.
I do want to point out to our weather freak.
Yeah.
Our weather. I'm sorry, freak is used where I live.
It's appropriate.
It's used affectionately in where I am here. I didn't mean it in a naughty, in a bad way, Katie. But Russell was in a big weather movie, The Day After Tomorrow.
yeah.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Day After Tomorrow, and there's another one too, another disaster movie. They all happened within like that whole Day After Tomorrow happened, and then all these disaster movies came out, and yeah, and not only that, but my wife in Day After Tomorrow was the main stunt woman for the main female character in it.
Really?
So every time you see that main character running through the water or running away from somebody, it's actually my partner just running away.
Did you see that new disaster movie, Greenland?
No.
No.
No, I haven't
What is
heard
it?
of it.
It's with it's about asteroids with Gerard Butler. I actually did a spoiler-free review on it, so you guys can check it out on my channel.
Wait a
after.
minute.
There you go.
Oh, hang on. Whoa.
Plug.
It's a Gerard Butler movie about asteroids. Didn't he do
Another
a
space
disaster movie about asteroids like 2 years ago? That
was horrible.
Kind of, yeah, that was not very
Did he?
good.
Is
I
that
don't
the
know. I
one
didn't
you're
see
talking
that
about?
one.
Yeah, I
This
saw
one
that.
was all right.
No, I saw that one on an airplane somewhere. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh, any time a movie is seen on an airplane, I just cringe.
Oh
Like,
my
why did they get
God.
it at such a low price?
No, yeah, you're right, Joseph. He did do. I remember
I'm
seeing it
gonna
on.
have to look this up now.
Yeah, I don't remember what.
Geostorm!
Yes, Geostorm.
Geostorm.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, no!
I just can't remember that.
Wow. Well, this one's way better.
Mhm.
That's good. Because
That's good to
Geostorm was.
know.
I guess that's what it's called, like typecasting. I don't know.
Yeah, the asteroid guy.
Yeah,
First you don't
the
succeed.
asteroid
Yeah.
save the day guy.
Yeah.
I do have to mention really quick, in case anybody has not seen it, our one of our sponsors. We all know that Jitsi made a fabulous drawing for Joe and for Dark Matter.
Oh, cool.
And in case anybody hasn't seen it, I just want to share the one he did for the Orville, and we debuted it yesterday. In case you guys haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, I saw this on
Oh, that's
Twitter.
awesome.
Oh wow, yeah, nice.
It's great.
So cool.
I wish I could draw like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really cool, Jitsi, and if you're out there listening, yeah, this was a good one, and there's a lot of detail. And there's a lot more detail that might appear. You got to zoom in on stuff, but fabulous, Jitsi. Thank you.
I
Wow.
like how Boris has got like that cigarette in his mouth.
And a freaking mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the mustache and the cigar.
It's great.
That'll be a cosplay.
And Isaac, you can't see it. Like, he drew them all individually. You can't really see it here, but Isaac actually is wearing his underwear.
Oh my
Well,
God. I didn't notice that.
Impressive amount of detail.
So, Russell, have you watched the Orville at all, by any chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's geek in that blood.
You know, if there's like if it has anything to do with space, sci-fi, I'm watching it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Me too.
Unless it's Geostorm.
Yeah.
Unless it's Geostorm, yeah.
No, but I did watch that in the airplane, so I guess.
There you go. Yeah.
So, I guess the big question here, the elephant in the room, is what did Russell do wrong for Joe to go and kill him off? What happened, Joe?
You know,
Right?
I was so mad.
I was shocked the first time I saw it. I was like, what?
yeah, this is the moment I was saying that one of the PAs was reading the script in the office, and he got to the point in the script, and he basically was like, "What?" Like really loud, and everybody's like, "What? What's going on?" And sorry about that, Russell, but no one ever really stays dead in sci-fi, so.
No, a lot of the cast members and I were thinking, Regenesis, right? So
Right. Yeah,
we're just thinking,
yeah.
maybe
Clones.
who
Star Trek
knows?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, just leave Russell's body there leave Akita on the planet for a while, and see what happens in a few years. And did you? I don't know if you guys know, but for that last scene, that we were shooting, the cast members didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh, snap.
Wow.
No, I didn't know that. But it looked really it was acted well because they were all shocked.
They got the set, and the director just told them, stand there for a second, and we just want this one shot. And it was just them watching me getting killed and seeing their reactions. That's what you see.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Because it was a holy moment for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, it was also one of the moments where I was like, oh, this Ryu guy, I don't know about this dude. He's pretty cool, but
Yeah.
Dark.
Thanks, Joseph. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because like you would think that he'd want an ally in the court, you know, like because you were kind of swaying, you know, you kind of like your character was kind of like, I don't know, maybe you are innocent, like maybe, but you never know, kind of thing, right? Like maybe you'll go and discover something yourself and then become an ally or something, and then this guy's like, no, you're out.
It's like he's such a good ally, someone who isn't a sleazeball, and then bye.
He's a formidable. He would be a great ally, but also a formidable opponent. And I think for kind of weighs that, especially when, you know, unfortunately, Akita is honest with him and tells him, and honestly, you know, unfortunately, the next time our paths cross, won't be as friends, and so for weighs that information and acts accordingly. So he's very, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And those are one of the lines
thinking.
as an actor, when you read that line, you know, the next time I see you, I was like, oh, I'm going to die. I'm so going to, I'm wearing the red shirt suddenly in Star Trek. You know, I was like, oh man.
I was going to say that. You were
What the
red shirt.
You know?
Did you like that character?
Myself?
Russell? Yeah. Did you like it?
Oh, I loved Akita. Yeah, for sure. Because, you know, he had so much background to him. He was like, he basically treated him like a son, bringing him up, teaching him how to fight, teaching him all the honor, the morals, his duties in the court. I found Akita he was honestly in all the sci-fi stuff I've done, he was probably the most interesting character I've ever played.
Wow.
Awesome.
What part of you came out in the character then?
Besides my blood?
Well,
When I have a full mouth of water, sure. Computer totally waterproof.
No, a lot of, you know, as an actor, you always bring parts of yourself to every character, right? So being brought up in a very typical Asian way, I brought parts of that into the character. You know, like how my father treated me with a lot of love, but with, you know, always keeping me at slightly a hand's distance apart. You know, like in our family, it took a long time for us to even learn how to hug each other, sort of thing. You know, it's like, so once my parents passed, that's when all the siblings started hugging each other more. So I brought a lot of that to Akita.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh. I gotta say I really like the wardrobe of the whole you know, the whole Rio's Empire show.
Yeah, that's again Noreen Landry, our amazing costume designer. I think in the case of these outfits, I think they may have been brought in from another production, not the insignia, the chest plate, but I'm not sure. I think some of them were actually brought in. They were used. I think they may have been used in what was the Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai? Possibly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they
Parts
were.
of the costumes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
were they? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. They were just a weird mixture because a lot of us were commenting how the wardrobe, it looked amazing, and yeah, some of it was brought in, but it was a weird mixture of Japanese and Chinese culture mashed together, which was appropriate for the.
Yeah, because I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know what the culture is on this planet. Like, is it Japanese? Is it Chinese? I couldn't really put my finger on it. It was definitely like a mix of both.
It is intended to be a mix of both. I mean, it's obviously based. I mean, you know, I mentioned the fact that I got a lot of my inspiration from anime, which is, you know, very much steeped in Japanese culture. But I mean, even though his last name is Ishida, may not necessarily be a pure Japanese ancestry, and you get a kind of sense of that. And, you know, his mother is actually the actress who plays his mother, stepmother, is Chinese. His stepbrother is Chinese. So yeah, and you know, some of the things we wanted to do was actually, you know, suggest that it was very much sort of the idea that, you know, Japan that is a little more what's the word? A little more
multicultural?
No, the opposite of multicultural right now has basically essentially gone out, expanded, grown, and become more multicultural.
There was white people there too. I was like,
Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
They
exactly. Yes.
adapted the culture. That was pretty cool.
There's some obvious fusion going on in the future, right? Though?
Yeah, exactly.
As it should be.
And all the cast, I'm not even sure if Joseph knew it, but all the cast, we were just so glad that we were not speaking with any type of accents, really.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that was at that time when this came out, every 2 out of 3 jobs, I was talking like this all the time.
Oh,
you know, but when we got this, and I was like, oh, I guess I better do some sort of, you know, Japanese accent for this. And they go, no accents. I was like, and then a lot of us kept talking on set about how for a lot of the Asian actors, it was one of the first times we were doing something so big without a Chinese or Asian accent. So props to you, Joe.
Oh,
Joseph,
that's great.
That's awesome.
Interesting. Wow.
Amazing.
I want to thank John Burns. So, Joe, you took the Ridley Scott idea from Alien. Spoiler: not telling the rest of the cast the first time the alien appears at breakfast.
Actually, that wasn't my idea. That was actually director Ron Murphy's idea.
Ooh.
And sometimes they have done that. I mean, I know, you know, a show I worked on, Stargate Universe. There's an episode where I think Robert Carlyle directed David Blue, who plays a character Eli, and he's supposed to open a book and get very sentimental as he's flipping through it. And Bobby arranged for I think David's mother to send in some like family photos when he was growing up, so that basically when he flipped open the book, he didn't realize when he flipped open the book, those photos would be there. So you got kind of a more genuine response. That's always, you know, something that directors do. That's always kind of fun to hear about after the fact. You can look back and sort of, you know, rescreen that scene and go, oh, okay, they were kind of genuinely surprised or mortified.
Wow. So just to dive in here, the episode starts here with them coming back from going shopping. And Joe, I love the steampunk look that you had for Yodel.
Yeah,
that's what I forgot. I was gonna wear some tonight.
Yeah.
I think I actually have that exact pair.
I think she kept them too.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She did.
Wait a second. I swear I have something.
And you guys are gonna have to excuse me. I really put a lot of effort into my pictures tonight. And when I rebooted the computer decided to jumble the order of the pictures.
It's always something.
Look at her go.
Wow! Look at her. So cool.
Amazing.
$5 at a thrift store. Also, they're tinted, so I can't see anything.
Wow. That's awesome.
Glad I got those now.
Very cool. And John Burns, thank you again, John Burns, for the super chat. Mr. Russell, YUEN, I can't say in words how good your performances were throughout the series. So bravo, sir. Take a bow, says John Burns.
Well, thanks, John, but I was only in one episode, so you know.
It was a great episode.
Wait,
You were 2 episodes.
I was in two. Yeah, you're right. Joseph's like, no.
No, we all remember you pretty well from your you're interrupting. Excuse me, you're not interrupting. You're crossing paths
Introduction.
with 4 in the hallway. Yeah, your introduction.
Oh yeah, you're right, man.
Very memorable character.
Yeah, those 2 episodes, I believe, were shot in the same schedule.
Yes.
So that's why I think sort of Russell came up from Montreal and shot over the course of, I don't know, the 2 episodes over the course of like I don't know how many days we had.
But the coldest days you had.
Yes, yeah.
The coldest
Just for
days you had.
Yeah. Let's get him out there.
Yeah. Here's a little piece of trivia for you. The scene where I'm sewing up my cohort there, the prosthesis kept breaking because it was so cold. Whenever the needle was put into the fake skin, it would rip open.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Just before the scene, my hand's on top of his wound, keeping it warm. And then when actions said, I take my hand away and I start sewing really fast because otherwise it'll keep breaking.
So let me get before they say action. You're just like keeping your hand on his upper thigh. Just hey, how's it going? Yeah,
Hey, how's it going, man?
Do you see what the food is on today? Just the whole time.
Yeah. And then the
Just
scene
part of
where
the job.
when he's sewing my back, we had to do that one
So professional.
a few times because we were so cold, the words weren't coming out of our mouths properly. We were doing like the yeah.
Oh my.
It's kind of like 2 drunk guys on a
God.
lost planet somewhere, you know?
You guys couldn't put like in that scene, you couldn't put like a heat lamp behind the tree and like point it at them. Like poor guys.
The poor crew was in the middle of nowhere. They lugged equipment into the middle of the forest. And I had to give them props for just getting out there and filming everything. Because they were literally hauling everything into the forest. You know?
Wow. Yeah, that's Canada for you.
How many takes would you be doing, Russell, for some of these scenes?
It all depends on how many times we forgot our lines.
Or couldn't say them because you were
couldn't say
freezing
them.
to death.
There's the walk and talk scene where he's it's I think it was after, I can't remember if it was before or after I was shot, but there's a scene where we're walking and talking in the forest, and we kept having to do it over and over and over again because it was towards the end of the day. We were really cold. We kept forgetting our lines. And then when we finally got our lines, some poor crew member tripped over something and you hear, oh
my God.
So
Animal.
that was about 8 takes for that one little walk and talk. And and after a while, we were just laughing so hard that,
Oh, no.
yeah, it was one of those. But I think the sewing one took a bit because, the prosthetics were breaking, so we were averaging maybe 4 to 5 takes for everything, I guess.
Wow.
Joseph's like, that's how much is that?
Were you there Joseph, or were you like, it's too cold, I'm not gonna be there today, guys?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I showed up for, I think, one day. Usually when like I said, usually I'm prepping, but I think for this episode I showed up for one day.
He did show up for one day, and I wanted so desperately to get a picture with him, but I was too shy to ask, and so I just hid out in my tent.
Aww.
But he did show up for one day.
I think I have a picture of, maybe it's you and Alex.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, probably Alex and I. Yeah.
Very cool, Jerry. Jerry's been sharing some of his experience. Very cool, Jerry. Wow. And I want to say thank you to John Burns. The pig's a wimp and the spider's an O. That was funny.
I love that line.
Rolling. Oh my gosh, that was my favorite part of the entire episode.
At the end when he's in bed.
He's just bawling. I'm like, this was my childhood.
See, not so bad.
Oh.
It basically goes like this. Basically, you're, 3 is over here and 4 is over here, the guy you like, and then suddenly they're like, going in the opposite directions. Yeah.
I'm waiting for 3 to screw up.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm waiting for him to screw up.
It's so crazy because that's kind of how I felt about 4. Like I was like, after this episode especially, I was like, I don't know, I trust him fully or whatever. But then the trust came back And then I don't want to spoil it for Katie, but I was just like,
Oh,
oh my God, this guy. Like, it was just, he's very complicated.
The show is just too many good characters.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
I blame Joe.
Now, Russell, how long did you guys work on fight choreography?
Oh, comparatively speaking, not that long. As I said, I've been doing this for 35 years. So when I first started off, even though I graduated, doing Shakespeare and Moliere, when I first graduated theater school, there were no speaking roles for Asian guys. So I think the first 8 years of my career was doing martial art movies and stunt work. So I think we had 2 full rehearsal days or 3 for all the fights.
Oh.
Did you ever have to fight the urge to just go like ching, 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 like lightsaber noises?
Yeah, that's we when we're rehearsing, we cannot even go bang or ching, or because what's going to happen on set is that you're going to do that, right? You're going to point a gun at somebody and go bang and go, oh no.
It happened on Stargate Atlantis. Joe Flanagan would always go, pew, 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 pew. And you'd be like, no, you can't do that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So yeah, we try not to make those sounds in rehearsal because we know we might accidentally make that sound in when we're actually doing the fight scene. So yeah.
Good call.
Funny. So the show kind of really kicks off where everybody's asking where's 4, and they find out that he left his comm badge, or it wasn't a comm badge. What was it, Joe? It was a
his comm, essentially, is communicator.
He left that actually on the bridge, and he packed everything up, and we have several scenes where 6 is like, you know what, he obviously wanted to leave, let him go, and
this is interesting because again, we have kind of a role reversal, whereas basically 3 is the one suddenly who's like, hey, let's go help him, let's go save our friend, and 6 is the one who's like, he's made his choice, let's move on.
He didn't want to go after him though until he found out he was a prince.
Well, I mean, you can sort of ascribe whatever motivation you want to the guy. However, the way he framed it is, hey, he's, let's go back up our buddy.
Was anybody surprised that they went after him?
Nah. I'm sure he had a contract and he needed to have him in so many episodes. So I felt good about it.
By the way, Katie, so Katie's watching these episodes, Russell, as for the first time, week by week. What was your overall impression of this week, Katie?
I want to watch more episodes. That was my overall impression. No, I really like that they're delving into each person's story. Like, I think I've talked about it before, how it's like you have this central core that you just know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now you're starting to branch off. And then each character's branches are getting a little longer and a little more interesting. And it just keeps building. And it's so cool to see all these different characters being fleshed out. And 4 is really like an enigma. So it was really cool to actually see a part of his life.
I like that part where 2 is talking to, I think, 1. I don't know who it was. She was talking to somebody, and then they were talking about, like, it was either 2 or 1, or 1 or 3. And they were talking about keeping secrets and stuff, and she kept, like, rubbing her neck. And she was like,
Did give away.
Yeah, totally.
And Joe, the scene that Nina's talking about here, it's pretty obvious that like 6 is aware, like his reaction to her, right?
I wouldn't say he's aware
of something.
I don't know if he's necessarily aware. I mean, as sort of a viewer, you're more, I don't know, you're more hyper aware of her response, or maybe more sensitive to sort of his line of questioning.
Gotcha. I really didn't pick up on the whole neck bandage thing, that it was to this extent. It was just like, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Like, Now it's obvious to me. But now, okay. Now, Russell, did you, when you were what was the casting process for you when you were cast?
Well, there was a lot of money involved, begging Joseph. But no, it's a long time ago, but if I remember properly, it was pretty much like every other normal audition. There was a lot of mystery behind it. Like, we didn't know exactly what the project was or what it was for, but because I was in a later episode, we kind of heard through other actors what it was. But yeah, it was a pretty regular audition process.
Did you go in for an audition or did you self-tape? I don't recall.
No, I went in for an audition. Yeah. Okay.
So usually there's two ways to go about it. Either you go in for the audition. We put out something called sides, where essentially we break down who the characters are, along with the scene we want the actors to read. Those goes to our casting directors, who in turn send them out to the casting agents, and they put up their actors who think they would be appropriate for the role to go in for the auditions. And then they go in for the audition usually, and they'll read and in front of a casting director, and the casting director will videotape and put together a link for us. On occasions, when actors are unable to attend the audition, they will do a self-tape, meaning they will just tape themselves doing the doing the scene, and those will get forwarded to the casting director, and in turn they will be sent to the production for our review.
So did they make you do fight moves for the audition?
No, but the question was asked, and you have to be careful about this because a lot of actors lie about it. They asked, "Do you have any fight experience?" And I told them truthfully, my fight experience. But a lot of times actors lie, and it causes huge problems. I'm sure Joseph has some really good stories about it. But, I was on one film where one lead actor said, "I have ridden a horse before," and they said, "Well, you should really practice riding in a samurai outfit." And this lead actor said, "No, I'll be fine." Later on, a whole village burning in the background, and this actor falls off his horse. The reset took us 2 days to They had to rebuild the Japanese village.
What is it about horses? The same thing happened to us on Stargate. We did an episode, and an actress claimed she knew how to ride a horse, and it turns out on the day that she is terrified of horses. She was crying on her horse. So we're like, what's going on?
I don't know. I've been on sets where people say, I've done martial arts, and you start trying to figure out the fight scene in rehearsal, and suddenly you realize, oh, you mean you like martial art movies, but you on it.
Oh my God.
I play acted in the shower.
I mean, it's, you know what though? It's one thing to be like, oh, I can do martial arts because, you think you can kick high, or you'll watch a couple videos and try and imitate it or something. But saying you can ride a horse and then being terrified of it, it's like, did you not think you had to go near this animal?
Exactly. You knew what was coming. You can fake martial arts to a decent amount. If you don't like horses, you can't fake liking a horse.
Exactly.
It's interesting because I've spoken to John Stetter, who's our stunt coordinator on Dark Matter, and he said that a lot of the times, actually, sometimes it's even more challenging when you're dealing with an actor who has fight experience, because they tend to assume they can do more than they really should be doing.
Oh.
And then he has to kind of talk them down and I know you can do it, but for the purpose of this shot, we don't want you to actually follow through, or a lot of people like to I can fall on, I can do the role, and then when it comes time to doing it, they'll get injured. So one of the great things about working with John is that he's always so careful about the actors and ensuring safety is a top priority.
And he actually had a stunt. Even though I started my career off doing stunts, he actually had a stunt double for me.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, the poor guy didn't get to do a lot, but he was there. He was there, and he took some of the big wide shots for me when it was freezing cold. You know, here's a little interesting thing about in this scene right here, where we're fighting. There's actually a moment where we both stopped mid striking each other because we realized we were both in the wrong position and we were actually about to hit each other for real. So there's a great outtake with us just like going and then smiling at each other and then breaking out in laughter because we realized we'd both behead each other if we actually went through the motion. So even though you've done the choreography and the rehearsals, it's very different when you're, you know, in character outside and doing the fight scene. That's why it's great to have your stunt doubles there, because sometimes there's an angle or a certain way they want to shoot it that is just really, really risky for the actor to do it themselves.
Do you have bloopers of this show?
I do. I have. Unfortunately, I don't have them from season 1. What's really annoying is they had set them aside, and then they ended up deleting them, which is I have from season 1. I think I have 2 deleted scenes, but for seasons 2 and 3, I have like a whole bunch of like bloopers. In fact, I release them online when the time comes. When we do season 2. I'll basically give you the bloopers and we can run them, and then the same for season 3.
Nice.
Awesome. Wow. Now, Joe, this is when I was watching this, I thought it felt to me like very much like a Obi-Wan Anakin moment, you know, the master and
yeah. I mean, like Russell said, Akita was essentially the father who raised the de facto father who raised Rio and his brother. Because his father, the emperor, was doing, you know, running the planet, and essentially, it was a fairly aloof father.
He wasn't just aloof; he was like abusive.
A jerk.
Yeah.
But you gotta get started early on those kids, and I can really harden them to life.
That's true.
Now, Joe,
he was training him to be an emperor, so
exactly.
I get
exactly.
it. Yeah.
What happens at the end, Joe, of killing Akita? Is there misplaced anger from towards his real father, but he's doing it to his?
I don't think it's misplaced anger. I think it's just he's very calculated, and in that moment he realizes that Akita is a formidable threat, and that if he has to face him again, who knows?
Because he beat him.
Yes, exactly, exactly in the opening. So he makes that strategic decision, and in that moment, you sort of gain some insight into 3. And again, I'm not going to give away spoilers, but if you've watched later episodes, you really see that that strategy echo. Down the line.
Mm-hmm. The other scene that I really liked, Katie, and I wouldn't mind hearing what you thought of it, was this scene where, sorry, I always mix up their numbers. One is really thinks about shooting 3, like really considered it, and then decided to shoot the other guy. But he thought about it.
I wanted to smack him. Like, what are you doing?
He's conflicted.
How can you be conflicted about something you don't even remember? I wanted to just go to him and be like, okay, listen, those could be doctored files. You don't know the whole story. Get yourself together, man. Like,
yeah, you don't know the full story.
He was acting like, this is an awful analogy. He was acting like a brooding teenager on Disney Channel. Just like, I think I'm going to kill him because reasons.
Yeah, in all fairness, though, I mean, their relationship has been somewhat strained from the very beginning. So,
yeah.
Now he has an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he was kind of justifying it to himself because he was like, 3 is rotten to the core, and he's just like, that's his nature, and we got to put him down while we can, like, kind of thing. And then he's like, here's my chance, but maybe I won't do that.
He thought better of it. Good for
Yeah.
him. I'm hoping he keeps thinking better of it, because now I'm nervous.
It was a good scene.
Getting back
I
to
always like watching those scenes because it kind of shows the duality of like, because we always do things like that, like on a personal level, like we think like in a split second, and then we make a bad decision that one split second. And I don't know if you guys, I forget, I'm sorry if you guys are Babylon 5 fans, but in Babylon 5, one of the main characters made that split decision, and that was like, you know, the ultimate thing that he did. So I always love those kind of things.
linear, yeah.
Yeah.
Adega, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just getting back a little. Joe says, and maybe it's. Sorry, my connection's doing weird things. Maybe it's appropriate. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But thinking of 4 and his decision, all the training that he did with his dad, then he sees that he has a potential enemy, like you brought up before. Like I said, my connection's driving me nuts, and I got noise in the background.
We can hear you.
How much of it was him realizing that he had to be more like his father? His father was actually teaching him the right thing, or was it a combination of that and, like you'd said before, there are loose ends. If I am going to take back the throne, I cannot leave anything open because my teacher is actually betraying me now and going with the new emperor. Does that make sense? Because I thought of him thinking of...
I don't think it's either or. I think it could be very much both.
Was that your intent?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
So that's what I got out of it.
Essentially, that he kind of struggled against his father's, strict upbringing and attempts to kind of harden him, and then he ultimately becomes essentially his father.
Yeah. Yeah.
While they're trying to find out where 4 is, we see that there's a fight between 1 and 3, and 1 was the first one to strike, and then 2 goes and asks for some kind of explanation, and this is where he kind of says what Katie was talking about before. He finds out that he thinks he's here to kill 3, and I agree, Katie. There is a little bit like there. There could be another explanation, right? And
yeah, it's sci-fi. Could have been a magic unicorn for all we know.
But it's a reasonable explanation. And were you going to add something, Joe?
No.
Oh,
Just listening.
I thought it was this was a cool scene that they're, and then she goes and talks to 3 as well. And her role is I don't know, her role is
she's mom, basically.
She's mom.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it in the scene, I think in the previous episode where she says one thing to 3 to send him on his way. Basically she wants them both to team up. And 3's like, why'd you stick me with him? And she's like, look, I don't trust him. I need you to keep an eye on him. Can you do that for me? And he's like, for sure. And then he goes off, and then 1's like, why'd you stick me with 3? She's like, look, I don't trust him for a second. I need you to keep an eye on him. Can you do that? And he's like, yeah. So, she knows how to play the game. She's like very much, like I said, mom, who, as a commander, and really they're almost like kids, really.
Yeah, and it showed that in this episode too, when she was talking with 5 and the rest of the crew, and they were like, well, why didn't you tell us? We were talking about like being open and honest and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, 2 knew. And and they're like, well, why did she know?
Yeah.
She knows everything.
My favorite
Yeah.
1 is like the little kid, like the littlest sibling, and 3 is like the oldest sibling. And all I could think of is, 1, why would you throw the first punch? You are going to get destroyed.
Yeah. He looked like he was going to get his butt whooped.
Joe, what about Kareen's question? Would you say that this episode is foreshadowing is what's coming up?
Yes, every episode foreshadows what's to come. Like I said, one of the great things about the show was I had a game plan So I wasn't making it up as I go along, and I think you can attest to it. When you do the rewatches, you pick up on kind of the clues that get laid down, and this one with 4 is a big one.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Completely unrelated question for Russell, because previously we found out that oftentimes off screen the crew would sing together and act silly. Did they make you sing with them?
No, we were just too cold. we were so cold. The only thing that the crew and I did together was that at one point they set up a tent to get us a little bit warmer with some propane heaters in it. But every time we left the tent, we told the crew, just run, sneak in. So one time we got back they said, go back to the tent, warm up while we set up for the next shot. We got there, and I probably 3/4 of the crew were stuck in this little tiny tent, and it was the funniest thing to see all these big tough guys trying to warm up in a little tiny tent beside a propane heater.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
We never sang together, which was probably a good thing.
Joe, I really like the way you wrote when first of all when Akita is tending to 4, then they're recalling how Akita helped them in the past, and then when 4 is attending to Akita, they're also recalling how 4 supported Akita in the past. And it's the way you wrote it to me was I really liked it.
Thanks. I'm always a big fan of parallels and bookends and stuff like that. And if you do it right, people don't usually notice. Is kind of a funny way of putting it, but yeah, I mean, I'm big on parallels.
The footage for this scene with the kid, that's the same footage that was used for when you had 5 in there? For this character here that we see.
I'm not sure if it's the exact same footage.
It's a little different, right?
Yeah. I think it's a little different.
That's a good question, Adega, because it seemed a little different.
I mean, it was shot on the same day. So, I think it was just, you have different takes, you have different angles, and, rather than just, take the piece, out of that one episode and transpose it into this one, you kind of want to start fresh.
Because I noticed that it was, if you wanted to do that in the way he was actually shown on camera, I could see how it could have been done.
Yeah.
Okay. And
my wife watching this scene had flashbacks because growing up in Japan, I think you had a choice in gym class of what you could do, and one of the choices was kendo, and then she had to take kendo for like a year in gym class, which is the craziest thing growing up. You can imagine sort of doing kendo.
Wow.
And she did not like it.
No.
Apparently those masks get very hot.
They do.
Yeah.
That's what my friend told me. He trained me in martial arts too. He said he hated the kendo.
Wow. Yeah, I posted this picture on Twitter, Russell, because I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was a good moment.
Yeah, you cut me. You think you're good now. Well, let's just see how good you are now.
I love that smile that you do. You kind of looked at him and you smiled, like you were impressed at the fact that he was able to cut you. And you're like, oh, okay.
I was kind of proud of him.
Yeah.
I was kind of proud of him, but you'll notice that it's really not everybody noticed it, but there are certain sword techniques that I used that I never taught him. So there's certain moves that I do that he can never do because I never showed it to him.
Yeah, and that's why you were able to beat him.
Right.
Ricky.
Yeah.
And that's why he killed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and, something about budget, something, I don't know.
Oh.
He's too pricey. He's just,
Yeah, that's not, I'm a Canadian actor. Here's the other thing that was interesting was because I was going to be playing his surrogate father, I didn't finalize the character's interpretation until I got to meet Alex. Because I wanted whatever style he was doing, I would try to mimic it so that he'd be mimicking the person who taught him. Right? So that's why you hear the way we speak and the lowness of our voices is an effort to try to show that he learned from me, not so much from his father.
Nice touch.
Thanks, Dad.
That's interesting. I didn't actually notice that, but now that you mention it, I'm like, oh, that's true.
So we also see that here that 5 and 6 have a moment on the ship where she's like, "Oh, you've been grumpy lately," and she goes and does like she just pops up where he's lifting weights. And
6 was
Hiya.
what was his name again? 6 or oh my god, 5. Okay, yeah, 6. 6 is really emo, like especially this episode.
Well, coming off what happened last episode, he's had a lot on his mind.
Yeah. I like how she went and like hid in the vent after they got into it. I was like, "Aw."
I relate so much to her because that is totally something I would do. Just fine, then I'm going to go into the vent and I just won't talk to you.
So she says, to him, I want you to teach me how to fight. And he's obviously being protective, but she feels that she's being rejected somehow from his,
Correct. And you don't find out until I think season 3 that someone else teaches her to fight.
Ooh.
Mini spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Now I gotta figure out who.
And then again here we also have the emotional roller coaster that Joe takes us on, where like they're together. There's togetherness. They're separate, and then at the end of the episode they're very together again. And there's a very family oriented scene at the end, right? They're all playing they're playing a board game or something or cards.
Yeah, they're
like
playing cards.
or something. No, I saw that and I just went, you know what? It's not going to last. The rug's going to be pulled out from under me in 3, 2.
It never does. It never does. And by the way, the last scene between these two you're talking about in the vent was one of the scenes that we used to audition for the role of 6. And that line where he basically apologizes to her and says, there'll come a day when, you leave us. And, when that day comes, I'm going to miss you, kid. I'm going to miss you a lot. And it's seemingly a very simple line, but it packs so much emotion. And we had like over 50 actors audition and deliver that line, but really very, very few got, Roger was so good at being he's such a great sympathetic on-screen presence, and this scene just you just like these two, you like the relationship, and you kind of feel a bit sorry for him. You kind of know where he's coming from.
Yeah, I love these two, and like I know this is gonna sound weird, but like he's like a giant and she's little, and like it's such a cool dynamic, like to see them on screen together. I really like that.
Yeah.
Joe, you kind of answered this before. Do you want to? Why would Rio have killed Akita, or was it for his lack of memories that allowed him to make that choice?
Would Rio have killed Akita? Yeah, actually, the answer to that is yes. Rio would have killed Akita. In fact,
I have a question too that I just remembered. In the scene where Akita was, I think it was the scene where he was mending Ryu's knee or thigh or whatever it was. he's remembering that scene about his father and everything. So is he actually remembering that scene, or is that your character remembering that?
Are they
Because
discussing
they
it?
don't have, because they don't
Yeah,
have,
they-
he doesn't have memories.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's him essentially opening the door to that memory. It's Akita was there, so he's presenting the memory for us.
Okay. So, but is Rio actually remembering those things?
No,
or
no, he doesn't
okay.
have those memories.
Okay, that's what I was
So-
wondering. Okay.
That was a big discussion on set for us, actually.
Yes, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, Akita doesn't know that Rio has lost his memories, so he will reference, this event.
Good point.
Oh, I'm so stupid. How did I miss that?
Light bulbs
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
So actually,
Well,
when
not specifically this scene. I was because this scene, I figured that this is his memory. This is your memory, Russell. But the one that he's like when he's training with his brother and his father's like, being mean to him or whatever, well, like, training him to be an emperor. That's the scene I was a little confused about, because it was more his memory than Akita's. So I was wondering.
5 explained that memory to him, didn't?
Yes,
yeah.
she did, but I mean, when they train, they train under Akita, so it's more than likely that Akita would have been there. So I mean, either it's Akita's memory, or essentially it's a neutral flashback.
Okay.
For the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
we played it as if it was, because I had no idea he didn't have his memory anymore. He played it as if he was pretending to remember, and I remembered recounting it to him,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't want to reveal he didn't have those memories anymore.
I love the sets
Right.
for the both the where they showed the part castle, part modern scene when they showed the outside of the I guess it would be the royal compound.
Yeah,
But all the rooms, the chairs, everything, it was really nice.
it is nice. It's actually actually a Spanish villa, or former Spanish villa, that hosts weddings and events, and so we ended up turning that into the palace.
Wow. You're just putting all the cultures together, aren't you?
Yeah. That's just one. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's the future in sci-fi. Anything could happen.
exactly.
Imagine if there was a wedding, you just hire them as background extras. Just walk around. Don't mind us.
I'd kill to have that dragon tapestry.
That is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We also see I'm just looking for the picture right now, but we also see that that 6 he's doing the as one says, he's doing a quality test of the whiskey.
Yeah.
and if I understand it correctly, Joe, he's saying like revenge was not satisfying for him. Is that right?
Yeah,
Basically?
exactly. I mean, basically, he's saying that he was so focused on revenge, and almost subconsciously, I guess, he thought that once he had the revenge, he would get that satisfaction. And then when he thought he had the revenge, he realized that that satisfaction was fleeting, and suddenly, the pain of the memory or what happened stays with him, even if the general dies. So.
I get all kinds of thoughts when you say that, because when writers put things down to paper or to what have you, it's usually based on their own life experiences. And a lot of people that say they can write, I will throw myself included in that, don't have the experiences to make judgments like that. Would revenge actually be satisfying? Who do you know that has taken out revenge and has regret? Do you know anyone that was in the military that, took revenge on one of their friends that got shot and how they felt after that, or someone that went to court and they were able to prosecute or get recompense for some family member that had been wronged, or including yourself. It seems like a little scene, but there's a lot of high philosophy in there.
Yeah, and what it comes down to is him saying, as long as I have someone else to hate, it's great, because if I don't have anyone else to hate, then there's no one else I can blame but myself. I mean, you have a target, you have kind of a moving target you can fixate on. If you no longer have that moving target, you kind of start looking inward, and you realize that you were not totally innocent in what happened, or in his case, he doesn't believe he was totally innocent in what happened. And as much as one tries to convince him otherwise, you can see he's still, the memories weigh on him.
I think if the general wasn't out there and he would do that inflection of wait, okay, now I'm the only one left. What could I have done differently? That is how you go down a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that he is not going insane. Probably just jinxed it, but still, glad he isn't insane yet.
I just want to point out that that 3 is both eating and drinking in this episode.
Yeah. Those bottles of juice were funky. And
she was like, it's the juice of the future.
Yeah, she was like,
the juice bottles you can get at the store. I had them all the time with lunch as a kid. It's blue raspberry with a twist top.
Oh man, no, we don't have anything like that in Mexico. I've never seen anything like that. I was like, what is that? Is that like Gatorade? But
they're vitamin drinks of the future.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I wanted it.
What's he eating there? Like Doritos or something?
No, they're like
dried vegetable chips.
Yeah.
Oh. Sounds tasteless.
And he also has a scene, and I'm trying to locate the picture. He has a scene with the robot, with the android.
Oh, I love that scene. That was great.
I was just about to bring that up.
Go ahead, Digger. What were you going to say about it?
Well, it was just she's staring at a screen, and she's trying to find out why she screwed up, and she's slowly learning that she's more human than she actually thought she was. Visually analyzing things to get a better impression into her circuitry, being halfway insulted by 3, and then she takes it as a compliment.
I love that when she was like, that was kind of nice.
Yeah, and to realize something actually was nice is beyond what an android is, at least in our understanding of the sci-fi universe. It shows that there's an emotional makeup, and she's fighting futilely to discover that she's more than what she's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I'm just probably what you were going to say, and very much this is 3, almost kind of 3's way of letting the android know that he kind of appreciates her in kind of a very 3 way, kind of an offhand, almost kind of insulting way. But you kind of get the sense that beneath that kind of gruff exterior, there is that compassion
it was all
for
love.
her.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, just a little piece of tidbit, because we're talking about auditions and in the audition process. My first audition for Dark Matter was for the android.
Oh,
that was my first audition. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that would
much better choice. She was a much better.
I think if you would have came in with some very rare, very cool, and very large cufflinks and given them to Joe, you might have had a spot.
Can you do a Jamaican accent?
Well, yeah. No, I don't.
Thank you, John Burns. Joe Russell, so I need you for another episode. Russell says, "Oh wow, Joe, I enjoyed working in that very nice, warm Spanish villa." Joe says, "Well, actually."
Oh, that's
see, Joe's like right there going, I know if I ask Russell to work again, he will do it for me. So,
Let me ask you this, Joe. If you had to bring in, if you were going to bring in Russell for season 4 or 5, what other character would you might imagine for him?
Another character, like ideally he would be Akira-san and would fill in the gaps in Ryo's backstory. So if I had the choice, I would prefer to keep him as Akira-san. I always find it kind of weird when actors come back as someone completely different, unless they use prosthetics or whatever, or they're a twin brother.
Or like an alien.
Yeah, but he would be a good, I think, Galactic Authority agent.
Ah,
Galactic Authority agent.
Yeah.
The way he shakes his head makes me worried if he gets power, what will he do with it?
Question for Joe: are the problems that the android thinks are in her programming not because those she's interacting with are not normal humans? I'm sorry, I get really bad at reading questions for some reason when I'm on the air.
Same.
Are the problems that the android thinks are in her programming not because those she's interacting with are not normal humans?
I will say she is different. She is very different from your average android, and you're going to find out why she's different later on down the line. However, because of those intrinsic differences, she adapts differently to her environment, and her environment is, I would argue, atypical of most androids. So in a way, I would say kind of both, but very much it's something internal that has to do with her.
Okay. Russell, when you go back and watch this, when you go back and watch your appearance on Dark Matter, what are your thoughts?
How young I looked. It's one of the things. I just, when I watched it actually just the other day, just to refresh my head about where the episode was, and in order so that I wasn't confusing it with some other sci-fi thing I've done. But I remember how happy I was. There's many reasons for me to be happy. I was really happy because the script was so well written. It wasn't generic. It had a lot of meanings and different pathways people could take depending how you depending how the audience heard whatever somebody was saying. But when I look back at the episode, I really had a lot of fun and fond memories. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but growing up, sci-fi for me was always important because as an Asian kid in Canada, we never saw anybody who looked Asian, and I'm about to date myself, except Robert Ito on Quincy and Sulu on Star Trek. Yeah, and the girls are like, who? Robert. Anyways.
Oh no, I absolutely know who you're talking about.
So those are the only two guys. Yeah. The only two guys I ever saw that were Asian. So whenever I work on sci-fi, I'm always happy. And then when you work on sci-fi that's different and well written, it brings back even more great memories. And then you bring in the fact that Alex was so open and willing to work with me so we could both find our characters, because this was early in the series. So he was still trying to find his character, and he worked with me in order to we could develop that relationship between Akira and him. And those are the moments as an actor you want to have a lot of, but there are so few and far between, because often it's a time restriction, or you pop into a series and they're on episode 23 and you're there for just one episode. So you really can't do much. But in this case, and because it was such a great, well-written script, when I look back at it, I just sat there with my headphones on, smiling the whole way through.
Well, great to hear.
That's awesome.
Awesome. We see here that Tua is looking pretty badass when she confronts the Akita's group.
I love her costume.
Like those leg holsters.
Nina's gonna do cosplay of Tu someday.
Awesome.
I might. I'm not even kidding. She's just so great.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen cosplay as her. Like
yeah?
this.
Really?
Oh yeah, many people have dressed like her.
Hmm.
Not that I go to Comic-Con and cosplay conventions often.
Well, I definitely need to get like the thigh strap gun thingies because I wanted to cosplay as Tomb Raider and I need it for that too. So
Nice.
yeah, I mean those will come in handy. a
You
lot
get
of badass chicks wear those.
Black belts, faux leather, all in all, probably cost you around $15 if you're savvy.
Yeah,
8 if you go to Goodwill.
Yeah. I love going to Goodwill and finding those things.
You probably piece together that entire outfit.
No problem.
I like the way we think.
Too.
And here we see the shot that the brief scene. Well, the scene, the shot that we were discussing before of one is thinking about. Is he really thinking about it, or is he just Joe? Like,
He's
would he
toying
really
with the
have done
idea. Certainly, he's toying with the idea. The fact that he's actually swung the sidearm over and pointed it at him would suggest that he is seriously considered it.
Oh yeah, he was thinking about it. I'm telling you, it was one of those split decision things. And I was like, "Oh no, is he going to do it?" And then like he shot the other guy and I was like, "Okay, well, he made the right decision there."
And
Well,
just to
coming
be
from
clear,
my
Joe-
training with pistols, anyway, I took this two different ways because right there, people will notice the gun is out. There's no way it would have fired. There's no ammo in that gun. So I thought, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Somebody missed something. And then I thought, well, he's pointing at another character with a gun. Maybe it can fire, maybe it can't. But either way, the safest way to do it is have it the slide back and opened up so it wouldn't do anything anyway. So that one just kind of threw me for a little bit. But that's a technical thing.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that because I don't know anything about guns. So I just know they go bang, bang.
That's the advantage of swords. Swords don't jam, right?
There you go.
There you go.
They just get stuck in the hilt sometimes. Which is on my blooper reel somewhere. There's one of me. I was not this show, but I was trying to get a sword out for another show and middle of a really serious moment, and I was like, and you. They forgot to switch up the swords because they'll often give you different swords for different scenes, and the one I had on was still the one that stays in the hilt all the time, and so we forgot to switch it up.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
You could use it as like a blunt instrument, I guess, if you take the holster off too and just whack.
Russell, have you done a lot of comedy?
Not enough, but yeah, I have done quite a bit of comedy. But always looking to do more. The thing, whenever I do comedy, I'm actually often unfortunately the straight guy, which is okay, but comedy has always been one of those things. That's why I loved some of the older Star Trek stuff. Whether they were wanting to be funny or they were just funny by happenstance. I love the comedy in it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now when you look back, you're like, oh, that is so just not right. But okay, back then, but okay.
Well, it's an underutilized talent of yours, we can tell.
Well, thank you.
Yes, we can. Joe, just a quick question here. Is there any chance that one at this point could just return to his life if he really wanted to, now that he knows who he is?
There's a possibility. There are complications in place, obviously, the chiefest being the fact that he doesn't look anything like
Sure.
he looked before. I mean, I assume there are genetic tests he could take to prove his identity, but it's an option.
And what did you guys think about this, Katie? What did you think about them? About three, just kind of sitting down and I'm going to have a drink with one because I owe you one.
I think 3 picked up a little bit on the hostility from 1, if not just the subtleties, then the punch to the face. And I'm feeling like this is him trying to gather intel, like, okay, dude, why are you mad at me? Come on. And booze, of course, helps with that. So I got the impression that 3 he figured out, okay, this dude, there's something not right here. And it's more than just him being mad that I didn't tell anyone about a secret or something like that. So yeah, definitely I thought this was a sneaky thing for 3 to do. And 1 just didn't catch on.
On that note, Katie, Joe, does 3 respect him more because because 1 punched him?
Yeah, I think basically he was speaking 3's language to a certain extent. 3 is I wouldn't say a bully, but he really, you talk about how bullies will push people because they can, because people let them, and then when the people step up or fight back, then the bullies will back off, and in many cases they will establish that kind of respect. That this is, him now in this scene is officially recognizing, one as an equal and establishing that respect.
Interesting. What did you guys? I wanted to put up the family moment at the end of the episode.
I loved it so much.
I was gonna say they were definitely not playing Uno, because if they were playing Uno, that friendship would be over very fast.
Because the same
evil
day
game
I
of
watched
Uno.
this episode was the same day for the first time in over a decade that I played Uno. So I thought it was really weird. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, Uno ends friendships.
Destroys families and
Do you
whole
want to be?
communities.
Are they playing something specific, Joe, or not really?
No, I just basically had them playing cards in the script, and so on the day they play. I don't know if they actually played an actual game or made up their own game.
I see your 3 of spades and raise you a 10 of hearts. Boom.
And Joe has brought some pictures behind the scenes of Russell and of others that we can see if we can.
I probably haven't even seen them yet.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Imagine everyone will look cold in them.
Everybody is on their.
Every time a camera is turned towards an actor, us, we smile, we look. Everything's good.
And John Burns, thank you again for the super chat. One thing that struck me the last time I saw this episode was how young the last group of soldiers. Some of them were very young.
Yeah.
One guy, he's like, I have a wife and kids. They can do better. I'm like, ooh, snap.
Yeah. That was my line of the episode. When I thought of it, I was like, oh, this is perfectly for.
So you're the king of sass.
Yes.
Okay. I like it.
That was one of the lines where, after you hear cut, the whole crew goes, oh!
That was a great line.
Funny. How happy were you when the shooting was over and you were like, get me out of this fucking cold?
It sounds corny, but as an actor, you just love acting all the time. And, we say that we were really cold and everything, but we would have gladly stayed there and froze to death if we could just keep filming. Because that's, the
that's
joy
sweet.
is there, right? The crew's great. The cast is great. Why wouldn't you want to keep going? Well, if Joseph showed up, then maybe we would have called cut.
Well,
Oh yeah, there's the guy with the wife and kids.
What are
yeah.
you doing out here?
It's nice because you enjoy the craft. Like like you're not one of those people who's like, no, get me out of here. Like there's some people who just don't like it.
I do a lot of talks for beginning actors, and one of the things I tell them, one of the first things I tell them is, don't get into acting because you like acting, you want to be a celebrity, because you love acting. Get into acting because you need to act.
Oh.
Yeah, because if you love to act, acting will treat you like a horrible ex-partner, where they'll dump you, and all you'll do is
garbage.
Yeah, you'll just you have to have the need to act in order to continue in the industry.
Right. Yeah, because it's so much full of rejection and all sorts of other things.
Yeah. Oh, and look how young I look there. Oh,
You honestly haven't aged.
What?
I swear.
You look the same.
You look exactly the same. In fact, I would say you would look older in this picture because you have makeup on and they have like white hair on you and stuff.
yeah. That's
Exactly.
you notice there's not a lot of lighting in my room right now. Just
Yeah.
Stop.
and a little Vaseline and a laptop lens helps a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you said you took that class, and then that was when you knew acting was it for you. Was that the need, or was it a love that you started off with?
For me, it's when I first started taking the class in that first semester, I really loved it. But then when I stopped, I realized I really needed it. So that's
so
when,
cool.
And I don't know, you guys could probably relate. Try telling your parents that for the past 18 years of their life, while they were trying to push you towards be a doctor, you're going to be a starving actor now instead.
Were they mad?
Well, I was about to say, thankfully, my dad passed away, but my dad that came out wrong.
We understand, though. We understand.
I understand.
Regenesis. Okay. My father had already passed away, and it took me a year to tell my mother. And to this day, when I go back to see my relatives, I have something like 380 relatives in Vancouver. Whenever I go back and I'm shooting something there, they actually ask me when they come to set, so when are you going to get a real job? Right, I still get that, no matter what.
It's so funny because our cultures are so similar in that way. Because I'm Persian, and Persian people are the same way. Like when you said like you kind of got to be a doctor, it's the same way in our culture. Like you're either a doctor or a professor or an engineer, like something that like that's it. But mostly doctor, professor, engineer. Like it goes in that tier.
Yeah.
And like when I was little, like everyone was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'd be like, I want to be a writer or a cartoonist. And they'd be like, are you sure you don't want to be a doctor? Are you sure that's not your answer? Like it was always like that. So I completely relate to you.
I often get, well, that's a nice hobby, but
I kind of get the same thing. It's a little different, but it's the same idea because I'm a chiropractor, and we know more about anatomy and physiology than your medical doctors. People don't realize that, but we know neurology better than they do. They know pathology, pharmacology. We know everything else. But I'll be talking to people or family, and they said, well, why didn't you want to be a real doctor?
Oh, ouch.
You would be surprised how many times it got that.
Excuse me, I just got to turn around and take the dagger out of my back. Just one second.
All you have to do is do what I did and just make them think you're crazy. You say you taste product, no one's going to question that. Not so.
No, I always stand my ground.
Now, being a chiropractor, I do have to ask this question real quick. Is it appropriate to walk into a chiropractor's office and ask them to crack you like a glow stick? Because I am this close to asking that.
You know how many times we've heard that?
Really?
Crack me like a glow stick. That is great.
Wow.
That's an old one. That's an old one.
I love these goggles. It's great because there you go.
Crack my bones,
my
break this.
Man.
Yeah, I've heard
It
them
actually
all.
comes off.
Oh gosh, that's
Oh my
right.
God, that's hilarious.
Now she's a Borg.
You can just like totally.
Now
There's
she's
a
bored.
replaceable lens. I got this for like $5. It's great. Who knew it would come in so handy?
That
That's
or one of the
awesome.
characters from that. Oh, what was that? Oh my God, what was that show? They flew around in the Dragonfly. Lex. Thank you.
Yeah.
These are
there's
great pictures, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing.
And there's Anthony, borrowing Five's goggles. The goggles are really the tip of the hat to Radical Edward, the character from Cowboy Bebop, who very
Cowboy
much
Bebop.
inspired,
Yeah.
very much inspired the Five character.
Awesome. I just want to keep these on for the rest of the show.
Oh, that's an interesting
Oh gosh,
picture.
it's broken.
Oh my God.
No, now you broke it. Yeah, there's
Sacrificing her toys.
Jodelle basically shooting her coverage. I think this is the scene with her and One, I think.
Very
Is that
cool.
her real hair? Like, did you guys actually color her hair blue?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Jodelle tends to color her hair.
Yeah.
Anyways, in fact, the reason when we cast her, we were looking through some Google photos and we saw her. She was cosplaying as what's the character's name in Death Note? Is it Miss-
Mari,
Miss-
I forget her name.
like Misaki or something? I don't know. No, that means,
I
anyways,
know who you're talking
yeah.
about.
And her hair was blonde, and we're like, wow,
Misa.
yeah.
Misa, that gave, yeah.
And we're like, wow, let's color her hair. And originally we were going to do pink, but we ran through a bunch of tests, and ultimately this kind of greenish teal, not quite blue, not quite green, was the one that we thought looked best on her.
I like it.
Hmm.
When I was a teenager, I always wanted to color my hair like that. And then somebody told me, if you want to do it like that, you have to go bleach blonde. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. It damages your hair over time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're the boom operator, lowering the boom
Just
here.
note how much clothing the crew's wearing and how much the actors are wearing.
Oh my God.
I just thought I'd note that for you.
And you had your back exposed for how many shots?
Yeah. I didn't feel it after a while. It was fine.
Oh man.
Oh man, 2 must be freezing. That outfit.
That's not the
looks
cold.
really cool.
There's an episode 1 of season 2. When we get there, I'll point it out. It was the coldest day we've ever shot, and she's wearing less than that. So,
Oh,
yeah.
If you tell me the exact date, I can go back and find the weather record and tell you
that's true.
exactly
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
oh
Did you
my
wanna-
God, Katie, you're nuts. I love it.
Joe, did you want to mention anybody who comes shows up in these pictures, or
No. I'm just kind of a general shot of. Those are our marks, or your marks. So usually, what happens is when you rehearse a scene, you get the block. You essentially block a scene, meaning the actors and the director decide who moves where, and when you move to a certain spot, when you move off to a certain spot, and someone marks the spot on the floor. So that basically, this is your first mark, this is your second mark, where you move throughout the scene, and they're color coded for each character. So because we were in the forest and the tape won't necessarily stick to the ground, they ended up doing these kind of stick
markers.
Yeah.
Which didn't always work because they would show up so bright. So often it would be, see that rock? That's your mark. And you'd be like, we're in the freaking forest. That's full of rocks. But at least it gave us an excuse not hitting our marks all the time. Because as an actor, if you don't hit your mark, it makes it really hard for them to focus and frame you properly. So at least this time we had a reason. The cold plus everything looked like a mark. So
looking good there, Russell?
oh, there's our director.
Yeah, there's Ron Murphy.
Now,
Also dressed warmly for the weather.
Yes.
was your costume very heavy?
It depends which one, but I've actually worn 100% authentic Japanese warrior clothing, those are really, really heavy. These were comfortably heavy, meaning that they gave you weight, and as an actor, it made you stand a certain way and fight a certain way. So they really lent itself to the character, but they weren't that heavy, no.
Okay. You know, there are a lot of dead leaves. You could just make a fire. No one would know.
Actually, everything was still pretty much, everything was frozen and thawing out as we were working. So everybody tried not walking anywhere but where we were supposed to be, because if you did, you'd leave mud tracks in the leaves all the time.
Oh.
Yeah. Or that, and the crew would be sinking in the mud too. So it's just.
Oh no.
Who's this guy?
The guy on the left is Ivan Bartok, who is my longtime on-set producer. So essentially, he sits in on the writer's room, so he knows, all the scripts. He reads all the scripts, and he's on set to make sure that the director gets what I need. And he also wrote 2 episodes of the show, one in season 2, one in season 3. And beside him, of course, is the lovely Melissa O'Neill, who plays the character of 2.
PJ, your computer's having a seizure.
I'm having the seizure because of his computer.
Oh, where's the seizure?
I know, it's stopped now.
Wop, wop, wop.
Oh, what was happening?
There's like a little box of it would shift and then shift back and then shift and shift back.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's good. It's good now.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the guy that we got worried if he was ever on the phone, we'd be like, oh, he's calling Joseph. Now we're in
Somebody
trouble.
effed up.
Yeah.
Does he have blue hair here, Joseph?
No,
blue hair.
that guy actually is my stunt double.
Oh, is he?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, there's a question for you in the comment section, Russell. How difficult is it to learn your lines? I've always found with any good group, I'll remember what to say when other folks are on their game. Yeah. How difficult is it?
It's this sounds like a total suck up again to Joseph. But
No, go ahead.
when something is well written, it's really easy to memorize the lines because that's what the character would say. That's how the character would think. So once you understand the character, memorizing the lines aren't that hard because it's what the character would be doing. When you're doing something that's really badly written, it becomes extremely hard to memorize the lines because you're doing something in acting we called working against the lines, which means often the lines will be written a certain way, but when you get to set and you do the scene, the director looks at you going, yeah, this doesn't make sense at all. So you have to force the lines into meaning something they may or may not have been written for. But in the case of stuff like Dark Matter that's really well written, it's easy to memorize because the characters would speak and say that.
That's
And it's
really
also practice.
interesting.
It's practice, right? It's just I can't remember somebody's phone number, but I can remember my lines, no problem.
Wow.
That's so interesting. I bet Mark Hamill couldn't remember his lines for the Return of the Last Jedi. Just saying.
Yes.
They'd be like, "What?
Yes.
What am I supposed to say now?"
Just make it up.
There are certain actors that you just let them say whatever the heck they want to say, and you know, Mark Hamill, Marlon Brando, you know,
Robin Williams.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Yeah,
Robert De Niro.
Thank you, Joe, for showing us these behind the scenes pictures. These are awesome.
Yeah.
This is cool.
I love the garbage can and the colon.
Yeah, I'm always kind of worried whenever you watch the dailies. Is one of these parking cones going to end up in the shot? I remember actually one episode of Stargate. They were actually supposed to be on an alien world and going through a forest, and you see a truck drive by in the background, and no one ever got it. Yeah,
we were shooting the scene with everything was really quiet, and I think I was sewing 4, and we hear this crunching sound, and we thought it was an animal, but it was this poor ranger looking for us in the forest.
Oh my God.
Just making sure that we got to, like, because we had all the permits pulled and everything. So there's this poor guy creeping through the forest, and we're like, is that an animal? Oh, maybe it's and then there's this like poor guy going, are you the film group? And like he's right in the middle of the shot. Right?
Oh my God.
Are you guys filming? Yeah, you're in the film.
So is this a national park,
that's
Joe?
funny.
Pardon me?
Is it a national park?
It's a national park, but it's one of the many forests surrounding the city. I'm not sure which area it was.
I remember it was definitely a provincial park, but I don't know if it. Yeah.
Oh, there's Ron Murphy, our director, reviewing something on his phone. I'm going to try to get Ron to come on one of these days. He's a guy who has so many great stories.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Wow. Is this on set, or this is on set, right?
Yep, this is the mess hall / gym.
No, there we go.
Yeah.
It's always so strange to see For's face with a smile on it.
Yeah. He's very unlike his character.
He's got a way bigger jacket than you do.
Yeah. He's very opposite to who he plays.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He's got a way bigger jacket than you do. He looks way warmer.
He's the star. I was just, they get the nice jackets. I get the other one.
Oh, that's funny.
It's actually also because of what I was wearing, I was able to put on thick long johns and thick underwear underneath. But because of what he was wearing, he couldn't put on the thick stuff because then all his muscles would disappear. So he kept it. He had a really thin one on underneath the shirt because you got to save the.
Oh my God! You have to wear thermals there.
Yeah.
Without thermals, you can't survive in that.
I was playing an older guy, so nobody cared about my Ripley muscles. Things ripple, but not muscles. Just
You're great. You're hilarious. You definitely need to do more comedy for sure.
I would love. In our industry, I often get the comparison to, but you don't look funny. And I was like,
what?
Looks good.
You look funny.
That's hilarious. Have you ever thought about doing stand-up?
Yeah, I don't have the fortitude for stand-up. I have some friends that graduated with me in theater school, and some of them are professional, well-known stand-up comedians, and I just go and see them and just go, I don't know how they do it. It's
an art.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I've produced a few things, but then people have asked me to produce something bigger, and I could never imagine doing like Joseph's job or something. It's just not in my realm yet.
Well, I could never imagine doing what you're doing. I mean, that question, how do you memorize all your lines? It's, I would, I can't even imagine.
And sometimes we don't like people like you, Joseph. Just
I know.
Why am I saying this monologue? Why? And why? And it's especially sometimes when you have the made up names of cities and people.
Oh yeah, in science fiction, it's yeah.
But then if you're the first person to say it, you're good to go because everybody has to copy you afterwards.
Yeah.
That's how you're saying the name of the city.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that I would imagine that like it's whoever says it first, like then it sticks.
Worst case scenario, you get the SNL cue cards, just hold them up in the forest, like glance over here if you need help.
Do you want to describe exactly what the sword is like, Russell?
We used a few different versions of the sword. We had one sword that we practiced with that was in the actual rehearsal hall. We were using foam swords, like swords with foam around them. And then once the choreography was comfortable, we used bamboo swords. So swords, the hilt looked real. The handle looked really real, but the actual sword itself was made out of bamboo. And then the sword that we carry with us is a real metal sword. But then in the fight scenes, we would use a combination of the metal swords and the bamboo swords. So it all depended. If, you know, if he might have a chance. And then there was also a special sword we used when he stabbed people.
Oh.
Wow. Joe, do you want to take this question from Rapunzel? How did the Empress exactly trick Hero to stop from meeting Thor?
Yeah, essentially, she got the message to Akita, and essentially arranged for Akita to go meet him instead. I mean, it's you get the sense that his brother is not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
Yeah, definitely.
And now that you bring that up, Joe, has the actor been given instructions to sound a little whiny, or is that just me?
No, it's in the script. You kind of get the sense of you know, of the character from the script.
It's like, Mom, why
He
did
is
you
Mama's
do that?
Mom is in charge.
And it's funny because Mom is, her real name is actually Mung, right? So Mung.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she just played a grandmother in a film I just finished up.
Oh, really?
Oh.
She's great.
She's amazing. Amazing. And a licensed psychotherapist too.
Is she really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Side hustle.
Well, you know, it helps dealing with directors on set.
And by the way, the actor, I believe, is Carl Ang.
Yes.
I'll have to check that.
Eng. Yeah.
Ang, yeah. Oh, I got it right here. I'm just gonna. Thank goodness
So
for IMDb. Yeah, Carl Ang, and she's Mangling Sui.
Sui, yeah.
Sui. Yeah.
They're brought back to reality at the very end, and we see that they're Ferris course ships that have jumped out of hyperspace, and they've attacked them. Any final comments on the episode, Katie?
I think this was the hardest one yet to resist going ahead to the next one. Because I get the sense that things are just going to only get harder for them until we get to the end of the season. I don't know if that's true, but I don't know. Once you get the big baddie in, I feel like things start going in motion. So yeah, I'm very interested.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those.
Not saying anything. Nothing.
Yeah, it's really hard not to say stuff. But it was definitely one of those scenes where, especially because they go from being so happy to the next moment, they're like, full stop. We're not going anywhere. We're screwed. It was just it's one of those things. And I remember being like, I can't wait till next week. When I first watched it. So I relate, Katie, to what you're saying.
You felt my pain.
ADEGA,
I felt it.
Any final? I'm sorry, we're going a little bit over on time. We've been having such a good time with Russell here. ADEGA, how have you? Any comments on the episode?
Given the clues, some of the things, the way that even the first time going through, the way it was, the way Joe presented it was. Started to see exactly what I thought 4 was going to do and who he was going to turn out to be. It was one of those where you almost are surprised, but it was just, I guess I just analyzed the script, and even still watching it, it was a pleasure. and couldn't wait to see Mother get her due.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm waiting for someone to come around the corner with like a knife and just fine.
That lady totally gave up like Lady Macbeth vibes. I really liked the way she was carried herself, and the way it was written was it was awesome. I loved it.
Russell, I think we all want to see you in a lead role in a comedy right now.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Crazy Rich Asians too. Just saying.
In space.
In space.
In space. But I really enjoyed being with you guys. I mean, I've been watching a lot of your stuff, and I've actually been learning a lot because I binge watched the whole Dark Matter thing. I have to admit, I saw my episode when it came out. And then I recorded everything else because I said I wanted to see everything in one. I watched everything in one shot. But I have to keep coming back because I'm learning stuff from you guys. I had no idea what was happening.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow. Joe, any final comments on the episode?
No, not on this one. But I mean, as Katie said, if this one ends with such like a holy crap moment. Now we head into episode 10 and 11, and even though the first season or the show is serialized, this episodes 10 and 11 are very much a two-parter, and the ending of episode 10 ends with such a massive WTF moment that I think it will totally blow this one out of the water, Katie. I'm sorry. But it's going to be
More the reason my blood
huge.
pressure goes up.
And I'll say, basically, episode 10, the one that we're going to watch next week, is probably my favorite episode of the season. Whereas in the fan polls, episode 11 is the fan favorite. So it'll be interesting to see everyone else's reaction to the next couple of episodes.
Wow.
I think I have a blood pressure cuff. I'm going to just keep it on. I will take a screenshot of it. Just to let you know.
Yeah.
Russell, thank you so much for joining us. And Joe, thank you for inviting Russell. It was a pleasure and an honor.
Russell, for coming.
So cool.
It was a pleasure meeting all of you guys. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, great to meet you.
Russell, you're awesome. Truly, you're funny. Pleasure to be with. Wish you could be here all the time.
Same here.
I'm seriously going to be going to look for my student bodies collection now, just to see it there.
Yeah. Professor Takashi or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah. I think I taught every subject in that school except actual academics.
Such a good show.
Russell, you're always welcome back, and it would be it's an honor to anything else that you're doing. We would definitely be interested in talking to you. Anything else that you're doing that comes up, and again, thank you, Joseph MALLOZZI, for this wonderful experience, and everybody in the chat is very grateful for this as well, and everybody who's watching the replays as well. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you guys, as always.
Thank you, Joe.
And chat, you've been incredible tonight. I've seen so many new names. It's incredible.
Love the chat. We do
Thank
so,
you.
guys.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jerry, Gap Stargate, Time Prophet, Dee Myers, Louise Sparrow, Sarah Jett, Matt Ryan, Captain Spire, everybody who's been in here. Thank you, Peggy Oaks, everybody, Kareen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Russell and Joe. Thank you, panel. Everybody have an awesome night. Stay.
See you guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
I can actually wave now. See it.